Anyway, I gotta write you up.
Hey, hi, how are you? Little chilly in here today. Have you heard safety professionals saying, I wrote somebody up for this today, or yeah, I had to write a person up for this? Maybe it should have been investigated. Here's the question I have to ask. Is it part of your job as a safety professional wandering through the work site? Or, well, hey, hold on. Let me also rephrase that and include what about you folks that aren't safety professionals or thinking about it? Have you seen safety professionals wandering through the worksite and looking at things, then writing people up? Now, don't get me wrong, reporting on safety infractions is necessary. It helps to maintain the integrity of your safety management system. However, if you're just writing people up, you might be missing some opportunities. Are you curious? Well, let's dive into it. Let's say that you begin your day with a toolbox talk of some sort. Pick a subject. Let's say ladder use, if you will. You give your talk and then you head off to your office, your site trailer, wherever, to catch up on some paperwork. And then sometime before noon, you head off on a walkabout, have a look at the work site, and you encounter a couple of folks that aren't using their safety glasses. They mentioned that they're scratched so bad that they couldn't see out of them, but you wrote them up anyway and you moved on. Next, you happen to stumble upon a scene where you see a forklift almost tip over and then lose their load when they're moving across the yard. So you stop and check on the operator and look at him and talk to him while he's getting his load recovered, and then you let him know he's going to get written up for an improperly secured load. And then, well, all of a sudden you hear the food truck horn and it's lunch. Now, is that similar to your day? If so, you need to consider a few things, or even reconsider a few things. First off, when these things are occurring, when you're noticing these minor infractions and writing them up, are you considering a few things like, are they multiple instances of the same thing? Are you writing these sort of things up on this constant basis? What I mean is do you have frequent flyers? Are you writing up a lots of the similar type of incident? That established, if it's something that's occurring often, then beyond that, if it's a one-off, why was it a one-off? Could it have pointed to something like a worker that slipped through the orientation process? On to number two. If it's a serious infraction like the one in the example I talked about, the forklift, now you need to listen close, okay? If it's that type of serious infraction and the possibility of somebody getting hurt or serious property damage occurring where, well, there's some serious loss of some sort, then realistically, that should be investigated just like a near miss or a close call. Honestly, I don't like the term near miss. To me, it sounds stupid. I prefer close call. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. Are you doing more than just writing somebody up and then walking away? Now, if you're doing that, you're missing opportunities for change and improvement. Not to mention possibly alleviating a subsequent incident that might be a whole lot worse. In short, you need to follow up. So let's have a look at what I'm talking about with follow-up. First, as I mentioned, that minor infraction. Let's deal with that first. Let's talk about that first. Now, it might not have been a big deal to some, but it might point to bigger things. Are you going to find out why that minor infraction occurred? Was it because of a lack of training? Was it because of a lack of equipment? Was it because of inadequate management and supervision? As I mentioned earlier, maybe even the fault lies with the onboarding process. Gaps need to be investigated and addressed, or small infractions will keep occurring and have the opportunity that you're giving them to become big ones. Or, on the other hand, was it because the worker was not complying due to their own malice or negligence? In which case, it sort of becomes an HR issue and it might point to some unidentified gaps in the hiring processes, or it also might point to a lack of supervision and a lack of performance management for that matter. Those type of issues. That's almost sounds like ingredients for another video. Let me know what you think in the comments, would you? Now, more points to consider with that minor infraction. Has it been noted with other workers prior to this? There been multiple instances spread out over time or in different work sites? Are you looking at maybe a trend? And if so, what's the reason? Are you going to look into root cause and find out where in the safety management system the deficiency actually is? On to that bigger thing. Or maybe it's the second point in the follow-up. Yeah, let's go with that. It's the second point in the follow-up. Let's say that it was a serious incident and you had to write somebody up, something that you witnessed where it was a serious close call. Let's use that forklift as an example at the beginning of the video I talked about. Like I said, I don't like near misses, but it was a close call and a close call that had such a nature that it could have been disastrous. Anytime a forklift almost tips and loses its load, it's disastrous. So are you going to investigate it like an incident, or are you just going to leave it with writing that person up for an unsecured load and walk away? If so, you're lazy and you shouldn't be a safety professional, because an incident of any type of that magnitude where there was a close call that might have occurred or resulted in more property damage or worker injury needs to be investigated like any other incident that would be reported to you by any other means. So don't do that. So when you're creating these write-ups, these safety tickets, if you will, or whatever you call them, when you're writing somebody up, are you performing a task and just checking something off on a to-do list? If you're doing that, you're missing an opportunity to make positive change, to create positive change. You're missing an opportunity to create a safer working environment. And what you're definitely doing is missing an opportunity to engage the workforce in prevention and boost your safety culture. See what I mean? You're missing an opportunity. So as you can easily see, it's more than just writing somebody up. There needs to be something beyond the write-up. You need to dig deeper. Find out why that infraction occurred. Look into root cause and close that gap. Let's take, for instance, let's use as an example, the safety glasses. Maybe put down the hamburger and ask some questions. You might find out there's no way that safety gear can be easily and properly stored where it's not susceptible to damage. Or you might dig a little deeper and find out that the employer might benefit from a PPE program where worn out PPE is changed out regularly. After all, a PPE program versus a rate increase from successive occurring injury claims. Wow, you know what? That's likely a good business decision. Just a thought, going out on a limb, but it's just a thought. Now, you have to remember that safety leadership occurs at all levels, so you might be interrupting and halting, stifling good safety leadership. You might be doing that with your write-up. So go beyond the write-up. Your actions might do things like spur on an apathetic manager or supervisor. Moving beyond the write-up will boost a safety culture because, well, those are plain actions that an organization or even a person can demonstrate, and they demonstrate that they actually have a vested interest in the workforce when they're doing that. Because safety leadership occurs at all levels. Safety leaders don't have to be a CEO. You don't have to be a manager. You don't have to be a safety manager. You don't even have to be a safety professional. All you have to do is care about safety, making a difference, and wanting to lead by example, doing the right thing at the right time. And that means when you're doing that, you're provoking safety. You're being a safety influencer, a safety leader, if you will. Now, on the note of correcting unsafe acts, while doing it correctly, you can have a look at this video up here. It helps to explain how to do that and how the safety professional needs to be both knowledgeable but also tactful. Okay? Take care. Bye for now.